Hey, shalom, shalom. And before I get started, as always, I want to say call halal, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah Kwadash, and double honors be unto our apostles and the elder bishops, that great millstone, that rule well and that teach well, and that taught me this truth through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. All right, and peace and blessings also be unto the elect, men, women, and children. All right, those of you who truly believe on the name Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. All right, and they're standing firm through faith, okay, here in these latter days. All right, and this is the brother Yakal, from the GMS Mississippi Gulf Coast. All right, formerly GMS Alaska. All right, but I'm still there with the brother in the spirit. And just coming back at you with another Hebrew word of the week. Okay, going into his truth. All right, referencing, Psalms, the 91st chapter. All right, at the 4th verse. Okay, and without further ado, I'm going to get straight into it. In Adawan Ratazah. All right, this lesson be edifying unto the elect. And this is the book of Psalms, chapter 91 and verse 4. And it reads, He shall cover thee with his feathers, and under his wings shalt thou trust. His truth shall be thy shield and buckler. Right? And the he represents Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. All right? Yahweh, through his only begotten son, Yahweh Shai. All right? Is going to cover us, man. Through the words, through what's written within and without the scriptures. All right? And ultimately, by way of the chariots, man. All right, out of one, Ratazah, we be of the elect. But that's going to be the ultimate covering, okay, with the Lord's feathers and under his wings, man. That's going into the chariots. All right, those who are alive and remain. Beginning with those who are dead in Yahweh Shai, they're going to arise first. Those of them who died doing the work, man. Okay. And it says, his truth shall be thy shield and buckler. That's right. There's wisdom and knowledge. All right. Which is ultimately keeping us stable, man, throughout our walk. Okay. That's our protection, which comes from Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. He didn't give this wisdom, this knowledge to everybody. Okay? And I want to go into that word, his truth. All right? Which the Hebrew word for truth is AHMATH. AHMATH. Okay? And that word, this truth or truth, goes into firmness, faithfulness, sureness, reliability. Right? So having this truth is sureness, firmness, man. Reliability. We can count on this truth, man. Meaning we can count on Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai and his words, man. All right, they're faithful and true. All right, as the scriptures tells us. Okay, so we rely on that. All right, we don't rely on the things of this world or what this world teaches us. We rely solely on the words of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, man, because we know they're true. Through faith, through belief. Okay? And it says, stability. Once again, basically the same as firmness. Remember, once again, wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of our times and strength of salvation, man. Okay, so by us having this understanding, That's the wisdom and knowledge, man. Okay? The truth. And real quick, because it says his truth shall be thy shield and buckler. I want to look this up real quick on Google. And I typed in truth, shield, buckler, meaning. All right. And it says the phrase truth shall be thy shield and buckler is a famous biblical metaphor from Psalms 91:4, meaning that Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai's faithfulness and absolute truth provide complete, all-encompassing protection for believers. And who are the believers? The Israelites, beginning with the elect of the nation of Israel. Okay? And it says, provide complete, all-encompassing protection for believers against spiritual, emotional, and physical harm. So the elect is protected, man. Okay? From all, spiritual, emotional, and physical harm, as we just read. And that all comes from Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, man. Once you put your trust in him. Okay? And he's going to do the rest. All right? He's going to keep us away from all evil, man. No weapon that is formed against us is going to prosper. All right? Even though we're battling against spiritual wickedness, all right, in high places. But ultimately, having this truth is the ultimate defense, man. It's the defense and our offense. Okay? And, so like it. I'm going to go into this as well. It says breaking down the terms. Truth. In this context, truth refers to the reliability or reliable, nature, promises, and word of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. That's it. Because once again, we can rely on these words, man. These ain't just written and we're reading it like a novel. No, we can actually trust in these words, man. Okay? And we know that Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai is going to cover us. Okay? As long as we fear him. Okay? Because that's the beginning of wisdom. And just walk in this truth, man. Okay? What's written aforetime is written for our learning, man. All right? The different patriarchs, the different forefathers of ours that trusted in the Lord, they wasn't confounded, man, because they had faith. All right? Just like we got faith in what's written. That's the only way you could please Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. Okay? It's through faith. Okay? And it says shield. Historically, this was a large full-body piece of armor, like in the ancient times, when they had the shields, and the buckler. Okay? But it's going into it. We're going to read it. Historically, this was a large full-body piece of armor. Metaphorically, it represents a defense against long-range attacks, like deceptions, hurtful words, or sudden crisis. That's it. And by us having this truth, that's our shield, man. Okay? By us believing in this truth, accepting it. Okay? Not bucking up against it, man. As you see a lot of people do. Okay? So this truth was not able to set them free. Okay? Because they wasn't blessed, like the brothers say, with the essence of this truth, man, as we was. All right? Which basically is the spirit, basically. The essence. They didn't receive the love of this truth. All right? And it says the buckler. This was a smaller round shield strapped to the forearm used in close quarters combat to deflect blows and sword strikes. Metaphorically, it represents proactive, immediate defense against intimate or close range threats. So this truth covers all of that, man. All right, the wisdom and knowledge of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, having this understanding, man, and once again applying it. It covers all ground, man. Once again, that offense as well as the defense. Okay? And it says deeper meaning and significance, comprehension, defense. Together, the shield and buckler signify that no matter where an attack comes from, long range or close combat, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua's truth provides absolute unwavering defense. All right, you're going to lean on the Lord solely no matter what, man. Okay? Because we all, we're battling spiritual wickedness in high places, man. All right, Satan wants us, man. Okay? Just like Satan wanted Peter. Simon. The Lord told him, Satan has desired to sift you, but I have prayed for thee, that thy faith fail not, man. Okay? So we got everything, all the tools that we need, man. Okay? To combat, Satan or any type of attacks that bother us, man. Prayer, fasting, reading, talking to brothers if you need to, watching videos from the elders and apostles on down, and ultimately just talking to the Lord, man. Having that relationship with him. All right? And I'm going to just, I'm going to end it on that. In Adawan Ratazah, meaning Lord willing in the Hebrew. This lesson was edifying. All right, once again, that's my Hebrew word of the week, AHMATH, which means truth. All right. And that's what we have, man, truth. All right. There's treasure in the earthen vessels, man. All right. And we got to hang on to it, man. We got to pray for the strength. All right, because Satan going to come harder. So we got to come even harder, man. All right. And remember, the Lord is with us, man. He's holding our hand. So don't let his hand go. All right. But hey, shalom. I want to say a Bible ball. And quam to the elect of Yasharallah. Hey, shalom.